about a year ago, I was driving down 2222 at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, going about 60 miles an hour. A lady came out of her lane. I was in the slow lane, almost hit me, so I had to go over into the shoulder. Right as I was going over a hill, there was a bike right up in the edge of the lane. Because they have big shoulders on all these roads. The bikes will get right over on the line or sometimes actually get on interstate highways. I almost killed them. I mean, they would have been all over my car, you know, coming into my windshield. Might have killed me. But I was able to get over as the car began to get over and almost hit them. And the bike rider, as I drove by, was flipping me off. Now, Richard Reeves, who does reports, camera work, also helps me drive the bus around when we go on the road. He's a long-time 18-wheeler driver, you name it, and cab driver. And I was telling the story the other day, and he ran up and said, my gosh, they challenge you. They're aggressive. And they run red lights. They cut in front of you. They get on 360. They get on major highways and get in the roads. And when they get in packs, they get even crazier, and they're getting killed like every week in Austin. And so the answer the government is saying is to shut down part of lanes, Lamar, South Congress, make you back into the parking spots causing all these wrecks. It's all about the bike riders, and that's what the news is saying. Who wins in Boston, bikes versus cars? And I'm not against bikes. I like biking. Richard likes to mountain bike. But when I bike, I get way over on the shoulder. I mean, when I'm in a car, I defensively drive. I mean, motorcyclists don't drive like this. There's something wrong with these bicyclers, and they say, hey, we're taking over. Agenda 21 is using them, telling them, hey, the road's yours. They're talking about taking highways now and giving them bike lanes. Ladies and gentlemen, the #1 cause of death for police and firefighters is pulling people over or working highways. This is not fun. This is cars going 75 miles an hour killing each other. And they've got steel cages. Richard, we only got about 3 minutes, but give us your report on this, because they had another person get run over on a major highway in Austin, and of course, trains are killing people now, so they're saying get rid of cars because the trains can't stop. I mean, this is crazy.
It is crazy.
Light rail.
I drove for 30 years professionally, 20 years, 18-wheelers, 10 years driving taxi here in Austin and San Antonio, and I got to tell you, when I started driving cab, 10-plus years in taxi business, I started driving in 97, 98 with the cabs, and I've seen as the years have gone by that continually pedestrians and bicyclists just get more brazen and more neglectful about what they're doing out there.
They'll be on their phone and walk out in front of you.
That's right. You know, we talk about texting and driving. Well, it's like recently I saw a pedestrian in downtown Austin that was messing with his smartphone. I don't know if he was texting or calling or what, but he was still walking into an intersection, and he ran right smack flat dab into a van taxi cab right there sitting there at the red light. He just walked right into it. So the bicyclists are challenging down there. Downtown especially is really bad, in South Austin, North Austin.
But they'll aggressively cut in front of you and then bug their eyes out, or they'll cut across 2 lanes. And if you look at them wrong, they'll go, F you.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, bike rage is the issue. But it's like, oh, they're little special. They're our Lord. We must do what they say.
And I'm sitting here, I love vehicles with 2 wheels. I mean, I've had motorcycles most years of my life, and I intend to have another motorcycle one day.
Somebody stole your motorcycle.
Somebody stole my motorcycle a couple years ago. Otherwise, I'd still have it. And I love bicycles. I grew up riding bikes. I love 2-wheel vehicles. But here's the rule, folks. If you're riding on 2 wheels, whether it's a bicycle or a motorcycle,
you're invisible.
Assume that nobody sees you. You've got to assume that you're invisible. Super defensive, because if a car hits you, a truck hits you, whatever, a motorized vehicle of any type hits you, who's going to win that battle in the long run? I mean, maybe you're 6 feet under, and maybe your family sues or whatever and gets some money out of it. But
that's not even the issue. Sure, they're bad drivers. They admit these bike riders are getting super aggressive.
Well, they are, and they are. And
I mean, it's part of that critical mass where they take over New York and stuff. But now it's just like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to run out in front of an 80-mile-an-hour car. That'll show you.
Right. I've experienced that myself, and there was talk on the mainstream radio here in Austin about giving the bicyclists super rights, where there's even a bigger penalty if you hit one or run over one. Well, God forbid they get those super rights, because then they'll really, who knows what levels they'll challenge us then, you know, just driving on the streets. So it's just crazy.
But they break the laws like nothing I've seen.
Well, and I'll sit there, I'll admit, I've run my share of red lights when I'm on a bicycle or whatever, but nobody's ever had to step on a brake. Nobody's ever had to steer to avoid me. That's the difference.
Yeah, but I mean, I was on 360 a few months ago, and I was getting off at the Bee Caves exit, and we're going about 10 miles an hour down the deal. And the guy gets off, there's 2 lanes, and he just cuts in front of everyone, almost hitting them, and then stopping and then going and acting arrogant. And I'm not into road rage. I control it, but the road rage I'm seeing is these bicycles. They think they're God. They're anti-car. It's liberals on these things. They're anti-car. They're arrogant chicken necks.
And it's like I mentioned to you the other day, the most dangerous people, whether it's drivers, bicyclists, pedestrians, motorcyclists, to me, in my book right now, the most dangerous people out there on the road are the bicyclists.
No, I mean, I see them almost hit every day. They think they're God.
Yes.
And I know when I've been on a motorcycle or a bike, I act like I'm invisible.
Well, and that's the only way to survive.
And then they complain when they get killed, Richard. Richard Reeves, thanks for popping in. Joel Skousen coming up.